Happy Friday, everyone, and happy holidays and all that good stuff. Uh, Probably no video next week because we'll be celebrating Christmas and I'll be with my family, and I hope all of you will be too. Uh, but I thought today I'd, I feel like I say this more often, try to keep it simple. We did a little bit of bulletproof stuff last week, and this by no means is like anything like super exhaustive, but um, something I just felt like talking about, and see what you guys think, and leave me some feedback, or let's start a discussion, or I don't know, nerd out over some stuff. Yeah, last week we looked at I guess image text blocks, text image, side by side, and kind of I don't know, I'm just sharing how I build them out. And I know there's lots of different ways, and I thought today we take a look at some buttons. um, Not that there's anything like super complicated about it, but there is some stuff you can nitpick over. Um, I mean, one thing you can see right here is like if you just drop a button in to the flow of a document, it might look weird with the spacing. But anyway, we're gonna take a look at this. Yeah, so we're in GenerateBlocks in my child theme as usual, and of course I love Star Wars and Ghostbusters and all that kind of stuff. Should have done some Die Hard for Christmas. That would have been cool. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, so I'm on the fonts page, and we looked at this last week with these image text block components. And now we're going to look at this button here. And I don't know, we're just going to run through some things. So first of all, buttons are, by default, their layout is set to, in GenerateBlocks anyway, inline flex. If I were to drop in so after this and button, so buttons, when you do it, and these are the default WordPress, I think it automatically puts it in a, let's see, WP button, and let's rename this GenerateBlocks button, and let's save. Let's take a look. Let's just compare the two. What happens? Refresh. Oh, first of all, you get this rounded stuff, and you don't see that on the back end. Close that and close that. Okay. So this is the GenerateBlocks button, and it's just an A element. And right now I have it doesn't link to anything. The WordPress one wraps it in some divs. So right out of the gate, it's dropped into a Flexbox layout, and it looks like each button is wrapped in a div element. Now, GenerateBlocks doesn't do this because you can set this up on your own, and we're going to look at that real quick. See, they're right up against each other, right? Yep. Okay, so what kind of display inline block? Yeah, so I believe that's generally what people style buttons as. GenerateBlocks does flex because you can add icons, and it's already kind of set up and waiting for an icon to be put in. But let's see, so this is display, and I'm looking at the wrapper around the WordPress button. It is display block, but the overall wrapper for the buttons, plural, is flex, because they have it set up. I'm trying to see, do they give you an easy way? I mean, I can duplicate. If I do this, then what? Oh, it just adds another button. Okay. So automatically, yeah, you can center them, do that side, you can do them whatever that is, space between. Yeah. So if I do that, let's save and take another quick peek. So the WordPress out of the box kind of does this for you. Yeah, so you get these block button, WP block button classes, and within each one is our actual link that is styled like a button. Now, they don't do anything right now, they don't go anywhere, but we can add links, and let's make them link to, no, let's make them link to Ghost Gear. No title attachments. Ghost Gear. I don't have a page. What's going on? Well, whatever. I don't want to fight with that. Let's queue. Yep. And we'll make this one link to my website. Because why not? But we're also going to say open a new tab and mark as no follow, meaning that, what does that mean? It generally means that you are not condoning this link necessarily. It's not a reflection of what you endorse or anything like that. It's just a third-party service or third-party resource. No, that's not a good way to put that. It's just an external resource. So you can check that, and I'll show you what it does. Yeah, generally all it means, okay, yeah, so now we have a link, and now we have another link with a target of blank, meaning that it will open in a new window. And you get all this no refer, no opener, no follow. No follow means, search engines don't follow this through my site. No refer means I'm not endorsing this. No opener, I'm not sure about that one. The opener attributes enhanced security when opening links. Blah, 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 blah. Click the browser prevents a new page from being able to manipulate or interact with the original page via JavaScript. I did not know that. Tab nabbing attacks. Okay, that's interesting. It's more of a security thing. Well, we're not going to look at that right now, but there you go. You can also do this with the GenerateBlocks button. It gives you actually that will work, but yeah, so now you get these. Let's see what they do. So sponsored is like if it's it is something you endorse, but also sell perhaps. So like if this were an affiliate link to purchase GenerateBlocks, let's say, and it would be using my affiliate code, I should add that to let the browser know that it is indeed a link that I benefit from. So let's save that now and take a look. We are going to do some styling. I'm just kind of looking at the little bits and pieces. So now what do we get on our button? Okay, so that rel puts in, we don't get the no, we do get the no opener. We don't get the no refer, and we do get the sponsored. Attribute in HTML is used to indicate that a link is part of an advertisement or sponsorship. It helps search engines understand the nature of the link, ensuring transparency and compliance with webmaster guidelines. Yeah, okay, affiliate links or sponsored content. Okay. And what was the other? No refer. Instructs the browser not to send the HTTP refer header when navigating. Oh. So it's tell the browser that like the header information in a page, like let's see, I know we can do this. Hang on. Okay, Addison Hall Design. I think I may be getting myself in trouble here. Okay, so let's do that. And let's go to the inspector and let's go to network. Doc. Oh, fudge. Wait. Bullet. Hang on to it. Okay. For policy. Refer. Okay, there you go. So that header comes in and says that this page was reached from Bing. Bing.com. And things like Google Analytics use this to track user paths and things like that. So if we put the noreferrer, did I have that in there? That has no follow. Did it have no referrer? It did not. No opener, but these did. But if we want to have control over this, I bet you can come down here to advanced, opener, follow, sponsored, no referrer. So even if it's not in the settings, you can come down here to these attributes and you can make it whatever you want to, baby. And I love it that they do that for us. We have all this control over it. Yeah, so let's try that again and see what happens. Because I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. So I'm just going to open a new tab. Let's go to the inspector. Network. I said network. I've got to refresh again, but I think it'll hang on to it. Okay, where was that? Oh, look at that. It's not even present. So no refer. Okay, well that's kind of neat. And I had not even planned on exploring that, but there you go. So yeah, so now let's first let's style these up a little bit, a little bit. I don't know why these are. I guess you have to put 0. And I guess you can go into our child theme and you can customize these. Heck, you might even be able to do it through GenerateBlocks, especially if it's wrapped in a container. But we're not going to do that. We are going to my shortcuts. So Control Alt Y at beneath, and we're going to put in a spacer just to give us some breathing room. And now we're going to wrap this in a container. We're going to call this buttons. Okay. So to that, I don't have any spacers. I want to do a video on utility classes, like spacer classes and things like that. Do you guys use that? Because it seems like it'd be great to have built right into GenerateBlocks, but also it'd be kind of a hassle to add all of it. Unless we did it through XML and created our own import. But I mean, otherwise, we could just set it up in our child theme and you could add the utility classes here, because I'm going off on a tangent here, but you know what? Clients don't need to be adding stuff like that or worrying about styling. That's another video I'd love to do, because I'd rather do this through components or patterns rather. But I've never really done a deep dive into that on exactly how I would handle it. But it's on my brain. So yeah, a video coming about setting up the Gutenberg editor or the block editor for clients, and what you lock down and what you don't. And you know, do Do you let clients have access to all these global styles, or do you use these more as a developer? So anyway, yeah. Anyway, okay. So what were we doing? Oh yes, I was gonna add some margin to the bottom of our container. So let's just do 2rem. Let's save that and see what it looks like. Okay, better, more breathing room. Okay, so now, thanks to our lovely global styles, I do have, because I've imported components from the GenerateBlocks, this thing, pattern library, I do have the button styles that are default. So we can do that. And yeah, like always, or at least I do, I always have to remove the override style. So now we get that. Now with the default buttons in WordPress, which I really didn't intend on talking about, you have to do it all through here. Oh, and it does have my, oh, but no hover. Okay. So what is the hover state? There is no hover state. Really? Huh. Okay. Well, anyway. So now we just got button styling applied. Now we're gonna change things up. So how would we tackle certain scenarios? So now we've just got a button. It's a button. It's a button. And it does this button thing. And technically it's just a link. Yep. See? It's just an A element, an anchor element in HTML with some classes applied to it. So for all intents and purposes, this is only a link. It's just styled to look like a button. So what about instances where we would make this a different kind of element? So what if we make it a button? What's going to happen? For one, we lose our ability to link it to anything. It does have an href applied to it, but buttons don't have hrefs. I think this is just hanging out here from when it was an anchor element. So let's look when I change it into a button. Let's inspect that. Is that valid? Is that valid? But it doesn't do anything. Okay. Because why? Because a button element is usually something like a submit button or a reset button or something that is activated via JavaScript. So it's not going to do anything in this case, but we'll come back to that. I'm gonna try to come back to that. Or look, while we're talking about it, hang on just a second, and I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to whip that up real quick so I could share. So we were talking about a button element. So usually it's like a submit or something like that because you can put in a button type. In fact, let's take a quick look. The button element. Yeah, so doesn't do anything, doesn't have anything attached to it. And there are a lot of things here, oh my goodness, command that I wasn't even aware of. So it does lots of more things, stuff. It can be used to submit a form or reset the values in a form. Type button, if the button is a submit button, doesn't have type button, posted. Yeah, so I'm thinking of it more. I'm certainly not going to go through all this because there's a whole lot to it. But if in our instance, like it's no longer an anchor element, it's a straight up button. It needs something to do, and technically we can get rid of that, and that because it's no longer valid. But we're going to give it an ID, special button, because over here, I've written a little script, a little function called button play. which I'm realizing now is not such a great name. But we're gonna roll with it. Yeah, so I'm telling it when the window is loaded, when everything in the window is loaded, it's gonna trigger all of these functions. And so the last one here is button play, and we're using the new arrow notation for functions, or I'm trying to my best, but it's essentially a variable that triggers a function. And yeah, I'm not JavaScript savvy enough to know all the specifics behind that, but essentially we're saying call this function, and when it runs, it's going to look for an element with an ID of special button, store it in this variable, and then with that variable, we're saying we're telling it to add an event listener for a click, and then when it's clicked, we're going to trigger an alert that says, "Hey, you clicked me." So doing all that, and we added our ID of special button so it can be found, and it's going to be that event's going to be bound to that event listener. So now I want to refresh, and let's inspect our button again. Okay, so now it's just an ID. We really have no particular actions tied to it. Ideally, the text within it would be descriptive of, in fact, let's change that. So we want it to be usable, right? So the text of the button should be indicative of what it's going to do. Not just for accessibility's sake, but for, or I say that not just for visually impaired users, but I mean anybody. Hey, you clicked me. So that was a button. So it could be an anchor element, but then you'd want to probably give it a role of button, because the href would not be doing anything. But why would you do that when you can just use a button? So yeah, there's that. But let's say, now let's look at layouts. Let's look at adding an icon. So what do we do? Do we have like I mean, that's kind of appropriate, right? Yeah, we'll go with that. So insert it there. Okay, by default, pretty cool. It works. And look at there. We've gotten some additional styling because it needs to know what to do, how to handle that icon. Cool. Okay. Love the way that works. And of course, we have the options of show the icon by itself, do it before or after. And we can also still put it on top and, change the layout and things like that via the styling. One quick thing, if we do the icon by itself, let's save that and see what it looks like in the markup. Did I save? Because we are concerned with usability, with accessibility. You know what? I'm going to get rid of those two because we're not doing anything with those. So ID special button. So we have nothing that indicates what it does. Hopefully the icon will be indicative of that, and the context for someone who is not visually impaired. But what we can do is come down here. We can add an ARIA attribute. So that a screen reader will announce this with the button. And I really need to get I have NVDA. I have yet to fully wrap my head around it. I have tested with it and played with it, and every developer really needs to. But I'm not savvy enough yet to use it in a video, but I'm getting there. So we have now an ARIA label that will read to a visually impaired user or someone with a screen reader what the intention of the button is. And I think don't hold me to this. I think there is some merit to using a title as well. And what happens here is, in case you don't know, with a title attribute, when you hover over it, you'll get a little pop-up message, I guess, that that is attached to the element. And I think this will also be read in the screen reader or some screen readers. And so this is something I'd rather go into more in depth when I am brave enough to do some more accessibility videos. The past ones I've done, I don't think I've done a great job. I think, in fact, I've given some bad advice in some cases, and I do apologize for that. But in this case, I'm at least letting you know, look into it yourself. Um, I usually do the ARIA attribute because in most instances, I feel like the icon will kind of explain in context what the button does, but just in case. Um, Now you can see what the title attribute does as well. But let's ditch that and let's bring our text back and let's look at the styling, because now it is flex and we do have some alignment stuff here. So what we could do is change this to, let's go to flex layout and change this to a column. And now you get the icon up top. Okay, so now if we do the before, after, I think, yeah, that will do that. And of course you have the same flex layout options. You know, that's, yeah, just going to center it. But now you also have the row gap option. 5 rim, oh, that's M. Or maybe it should be M, because that'll do it relative to the font size applied to the element. So yeah, you have that too. And now, so I used to do this as well, and we can experiment with this. So what if you want the button to span? Let's get rid of that. Oh. Yeah, that was Shift Alt Z to delete an element. Just a second, let me wet my whistle. So what I used to do when I wanted an element to, or a button to span the entire width of something, I would just change it to block. But it's not doing it. And that might be due, what is that due to? Okay, so let's save that and let's look in the inspector and see what's happening, because there's a better way to do it. So it is display block, right? Yeah. Display block. That is curious, because normally, I wonder if it's because of a button element. Huh. Normally, that would force it to take up the entire width of the space by just making it a block element. So let's change it back to, tell you what, I'm going to remove the ID. We're going to go back to a link style button. So we're going to make it this, and I bet, yep, that's how we got that. So a button element, that's interesting. A button element must have some sort of styling on it. Let's see what the width is. That's really interesting. So there's something in it that keeps it from taking up the entire width. You have to apply a width of 100%. Is there a max width? No. Okay, well, that's interesting. I haven't worked a lot with that, but we're going to play with it as a standard link, an anchor element. So let's go back to, let's just make it go somewhere within the site. It's going to go to components. Yep, there we go. Okay, so now let's save that. Let's take a look. So we got some funky things going on with the icon. And if this were, let's ditch the icon. We'll come back to that in a second. So full width. Okay, so it's working, but the text is aligned to the left. And that may be what you want for the layout. So what if you want it in the center? Whoa. Sorry, I was missing my clicks. We could just center the text, right? We could, and that'll work fine. It does work. Yep, we have just a regular element, and I guess I can change the message too because that's confusing. But what if we add that icon back? What's cool? Oh yeah, little box. Now we lose the ability to space out those elements. It's gonna, we want to go back to our flex alignment because that's not pretty. That's not. We can't control that. So let's go back, and first of all, let's ditch the center alignment, and instead let's look at flex. Now it's going to take up the space. We want to go back to a row layout, which is what it does by default. But now I don't think, we can't center it anymore. What is up with that? So what we do have now, though, is much more control because of flex. So we can use these controls, our flex alignment, to control how these are arranged within the button. So now we have an anchor element, and then we have these spans. So this is display flex now. Whoop, where'd it go? Yeah, display flex. We have our gaps, column gap of 0.5 M. You can't really see that there, can you? Where'd it go? Yeah, you can't really see that. Display flex, justify content. There you go. It's in the middle with the row gap, which the row gap isn't applying because it's not. We're doing a line by the row, not a column. I'm sorry, arranging direction. That's what I'm looking for. You also get things like that: column reverse, row reverse, and it's going to be row by default. So what is this? Enter custom value. Oh, that's nice. So now we've got that. Okay, cool. Full width. What if we want more than one button in a space? Because this will be, oh wait, I don't have to do that. I can do this. It's going to be responsive. Now what does it do? We do that. So what if we don't want it to break like that? I mean, you can use the mobile controls. I'm sorry, the responsive controls to come in. Yeah, we're looking at our button, and we can set up a class for this if we want to. Absolutely. So we can change when it's in the mobile view. We can change it to column, and maybe that row gap is too much. We can go back to this view. Let's just change it to a quarter. So I'm going to save that. And now it's going to stack like that when it gets to our smaller screen size. So now let's look at putting buttons in a group. So now what if we want more than one button? So I'm going to duplicate that, and we'll go to our wrapper layout, and we're going to change this to grid. And we go down to our, wait, where is it? Oh, grid layout. There it is. Let's do 2. Wait, no, we want the gap. Do 5M. Point 3M. Maybe. We'll see. Sometimes that horizontal line needs a little bit more, or is it the vertical line? I can't remember. So we will typography. Well, yeah, so we'll do this one going to typography, and we'll change the icon. There we go. Typography. What should typography? I guess ideally it should be like a letter. Ooh, well, you could use these groovy arrows now in, what does that look like? Oh, I kind of like the finer. I mean, interesting. Menu toggles? Fun. Okay, we'll do a coffee cup with that because coffee and type go really well together. Yeah, so now we should have these nice full width side by side buttons, and we'll have to adjust. Now they both stack nicely, and again, I would apply global style to those, like a modifier class for buttons with icons. And let's do down to this view. It's gonna be just a single, and now they'll stack. Yeah, dig that. Now, what if you don't want them to be full width? What if you want them to just float next to one another? If that is the case, you can change these back, I think, to inline flex. And then we're going to, because inline flex, is what they default to. But then we're going to change this from grid to flex. So that grid layout, we're going to remove. You know what? When I add it to flex, it's gonna, I think I'll do the same thing. And we'll just do 2.5 instead of that 0.3. And now we'll get the elements. They'll snug over here to the left side. They won't be full width. And that may be what you want. And now it still needs to be stackable. Oh, and look at that. Okay. So first we'll want to fix the button styling. So I think it's still flex. maybe it's not, but it's inline flex, and we're telling it to be centered, and it is switching the column. Justify self. Yeah, those are not applicable to that. I don't know why. Okay, let's look at that then. Because in that element, I wonder if the text align, we're just going to apply a text line center. Interesting. So we hadn't seen that text stack before like that, because it's usually been like that. So we might even take it a step further. Yeah, I guess we'd have to come down here to typography. I wonder if that will do it, or if we'll have to do it. No, maybe not. Okay, we'll see. Let's see how that looks on the front side. So I'm going to just copy that style. Did you know you could do that? Yeah, you knew you could do that. It's a bit too much line height, maybe, too. That's really getting nitpicky, though. Okay, so let's really making this too small. Yeah, so that worked. Okay. Groovy. But we want those to stack, remember? So when it gets super small, we're no longer going to show them side by side, or because it's flex, we could tell these elements to wrap. And where do I do that? Flex layout, wrap. Okay. And they should automatically bump down to the next line when they need the room. But now they're not going to have the full width, so it might, might not be to your liking. But then what do? Well, buttons. We could again. Oh, you know what? Okay, two things you could do. You could either do something to each of the buttons individually, or that global style, or I think we can switch this. No. We want, yeah, there we go. Okay, so, well, that will center them, but that's not, justify. I can't remember which ones. Okay, apparently none of them. Yeah, I'm needing to be up on my. I was hoping I could do just something to apply it here to make it force it to fill that space. Hang on just a minute. Let me check something. Okay, so there's a couple of things we can do. And I guess one of the easiest would be if you're going to do it with the wrapper and flex. I failed. You can switch it back to grid, and it will fill that space in our mobile view. Yeah, flex, I thought I could do it with the wrapper element, but the thing that has display flex applied to it, you can do it with the flex grow, flex shrink properties on the individual items, flex items. So I was looking for a shortcut way to do it to everything within it. And maybe that's the best way to handle it, is just switch it to grid. When you get down to the mobile view, except that, did I not save it? Except that it doesn't work, but maybe it does. I just didn't save it. I didn't save it. So there you go. So larger screen view, we want them snugged up to each other, and smaller screen view. And we can even use flex again to center our buttons within that space. Until we get down to our mobile view, and they'll stack again very nicely. So yeah, so what have we missed? What have we not touched on? I wasn't looking to do anything crazy fancy today, even though we're at 45 minutes talking about buttons. Good grief. I had really just wanted to kind of take a look. The things you deal with every day as a developer, developer, sometimes you don't think about how significant they are, like what other people might not be understanding, or I don't know, just what you haven't discovered yet. I watch videos all the time and think, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way, or I didn't think to do that, or didn't know that was available. So I hope this helps you. And I'm still sitting here racking my brain. I really should start writing things down, because I fear that I'm forgetting something. And I guess I can always do a follow-up video since we're pushing 50 minutes talking about buttons. You know what? We can do one last thing. I used to love playing with buttons in like Illustrator and different program, or whatever my design tool of the day was. But one neat thing you can do. Link all sides? No, don't link all sides. Top. Do 1 pixel. Let's do white. We're going to, let's do 2. Oh, that's on the right. Top. Clear. I used to love doing this thing where you could do highlights. It needs to be 2. Let's see. So if you wanted to give it kind of this beveled effect, or give it some depth, and then you apply the border radius of like 4. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy fancy, but it's kind of fun. And what if, okay, cool. So what if, yeah, now we can do that. Okay, let me close that. And we're going to look back at these spans. Oh, I guess I could do, or I don't know. Can you do, where'd it go? Shape. See, I don't know if it'll apply to, yeah, it probably won't do it to the SVG. Not the way I'm thinking. Text shadow. Oh, wait. Am I not doing that right? I guess because it's not text, it's see, 2 pixels, 2 pixels. Oh yeah. Okay, so it's going to do it as a box. So yeah, there's probably an SVG filter you can use, but yeah, one of the cool things. Was it GB text? GB text that I like to do too. I'm just leaving you with this just to have fun with it. There is no, Yeah, there is. Yeah, he did that. Filter, transform. Maybe there is a. Did I not apply that right? Okay, I don't want to blur on it, or maybe just a slight. That's curious. Usually, oh hell, I misspelled it. Sorry, I said a bad word. Text. Okay. I still don't see it though. Come on, man. Let's do my little. Oh yeah, there it is. It shows up there. And of course, here is where I'd rather fine tune it, because trying to do it in the editor, sometimes you don't quite get what you want. I don't know. So I might even do away with that and do away with that. Oh, wait. Yep, there we go. Yeah, just very subtle. I don't know, making 3D buttons. Woohoo! So much fun. So much fun. Yeah, where'd it go? Anyway, I'll leave you guys with this. And I don't know why it's not showing up in here. Yeah, have fun with it. Leave me some comments if I've forgotten something, or if there's something you're trying to do with buttons that you're finding challenging or not wrapping your head around. We'll try to figure it out together. And hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, wonderful, happy holidays. I don't think I'll be posting a video next week. I will if I have time. But if not, everybody enjoy your holidays. Happy New Year, all that good stuff. And we reached 500 subscribers. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. My wife was one of them. She was very kind to jump in and just give me one extra. And I'll take it. You know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, happy holidays, guys. Talk to you soon.